Does anyone even really know the business that Codie Sanchez owns? Think about it. She came on the scene hard, talking about laundromats a ton, then car washes and boring businesses in general. And she would say that she owned like 29 different businesses, but never really said exactly what they were. So I was curious, what businesses does she own and how did she make her money? And does she still own the businesses? Does she run them? How does that all work? Well, one of those questions was just answered. So I've watched hundreds of Codie's videos at this point, and I've never seen her do or even share what she did exactly. But she did just make an announcement about buying a business and said it's her biggest investment yet. Now, I still don't fully understand how all the dots really connected with Codie's business path, but what I do know is that she does have a private equity fund where they buy and invest in businesses, which is what explains owning 29 different businesses. Now, if you're watching this video, odds are you already know who Codie is and already watch her stuff. So I'm not sure it really makes sense to hash out her entire background and career, but Codie's main message is Main Street over Wall Street and helping everyday people like you and I become business owners. Now, I can definitely get on board with that message. I got my investment licenses at the age of 19 and worked in finance, similar to Codie. And after overseeing investment accounts of over $100 million combined from my clients, I realized I didn't really want to keep rising the ranks of the corporate world. I really wanted to be a business owner and, well, build a business. But for a 9-year stretch, I had 9 failed businesses, and I started to feel like the idea of becoming an entrepreneur just wasn't going to be possible for me. Maybe I wasn't cut out for entrepreneurship and it wasn't in the cards for me until I found franchising. And in my first year owning my franchise, I did just shy of $500,000 in sales. And although that first year I only took home about $60,000 in profit, this was a game changer for me. It changed everything. Up until that point, I had never done $100,000 in sales combined over my previous 9 failed businesses. But you may be asking, like, what does that have to do with Codie and her new business that she bought? Well, it's the perfect segue that leads us to what Codie just bought or invested into. Codie just bought a franchise called Resy Brands, but not as a franchisee. She invested in a franchisor. What's the difference? Well, basically, there are 2 main terms that you need to know in franchising. Number 1 is franchisor. Number 2 is franchisee. A franchisor is the brand. So think McDonald's. McDonald's is the franchisor. And then a franchisee is someone who signs a franchise agreement to own and operate the franchise. So in this case, the franchisee would own a McDonald's location. And clearly, the most accessible route for most of us is to become a franchisee. Now, a lot of people on franchising, they say,
hey, it's not real business.
Or only the person that makes money is the franchisor. And I call like, if you want to have a strong opinion about it, go ahead. That's your right. But if you want facts, then let's talk about some data. According to the United States Census Bureau, 1 out of every 10 businesses you see is a franchise. There are over 800,000 franchise-owned businesses in the United States and over 4,000 different franchise brands. And look, I'll be the first to tell you that probably about 80% of franchise brands you should stay away from. But then there's that 20%, that sweet spot. And for those who say franchises aren't a real business, that's just stupid. You're literally just talking out of forget all the food brands that you've heard of. Businesses like Ace Hardware, Pods, Jiffy Lube, Meineke, Budget Blinds, Valvoline, Crunch Fitness, Planet Fitness, Great Clips, Sports Clips. These are all franchises. And in terms of making money, well, franchises are a really unique business. All of them are required by law to have an FDD, which stands for Franchise Disclosure Document. And in this document, they can choose to show how much money the franchise owners are making. Now, some just show sales, some show profits, and some show nothing. But my team and I, we've looked at dozens, if not hundreds of FDDs at this point. And as Lil Wayne and Yo Gotti said, women lie, men lie, numbers don't lie. There are 100% franchisees making money. And if they weren't, I don't think there'd be 800,000 businesses floating around out there. By the way, if you want to see some of those franchise brands and how much money they are making, I put together a 17-page PDF breaking down 5 low-cost franchises that all make $1 million or more. And you can grab it for free at franchiseempire.com/low cost, or you can click the link in the description below. So let's get back to Cody and what she bought. So what's Resi Brands? It's a home services franchise brand, and they started with a franchise called That One Painter, which, can you guess what they do? I'll wait. They own 2 other brands. One is called Pink's Window Cleaning. The other is called Garage Up. It's a garage renovation franchise. They've been exploding with growth, especially in the younger community. Their CEO and founder started out as a painter and really has an eye for creativity and branding. When I see the branding, it feels and looks similar to Apple in some ways. That's really what it reminds me of. And or something like a Tesla, where they're just incredibly modern and innovative, and you can feel that there's something different about the brand. And Resi makes some really bold claims too. They say they are the world's greatest home service brand. Now, I'm not sure how I feel about that yet, because there are some really strong brands out there that have been around for decades. As an example, there's one called CertaPro Painters. It's a competitor franchise brand to them, and they've been franchising since 1992, so for over 30 years. And in 2022, in CertaPro Painters, the average sales of all their franchisees, and they have hundreds, were $2.1 million. Now I can just hear people now, we don't care about sales, we care about profits. I hear you. Look, I hear you, okay? Most of the people who say that have never actually done $100,000 in sales in their business. But at the end of the day, I get you. It's not about what you make, it's about what you keep. And I think if you run a multi-million-dollar business, if you aren't at minimum making 15% margins, then you're doing something really wrong. But it's clear that Resi has come out and innovated really well. If there's one thing we've learned from Apple, is that branding and marketing means everything. And Resi is making big moves. Not only did they partner with Cody and get her to write them a check to invest and own part of the company, they also hired John Maxwell as their brand mentor. And if you don't know who he is the biggest name in leadership books and training in the world. So these guys are obviously doing something right. But the real question is, why would Cody invest in a franchise brand specifically? Well, because Cody has a private equity fund. And in PE, you want to invest in businesses that can grow enterprise value and be worth a lot of money. Franchise brands can sell for big money. They're brands that have sold for over $100 million. And the businesses can have insane valuations because of the fact that franchisees typically sign a 10-year franchise agreement. And if there's one thing that can skyrocket the value of a business, it's recurring revenue. And so when you take the recurring revenue from the franchisees and people paying you to get access for their proprietary business systems, as an example, Resi's initial franchise fee to join and get access to their systems, $59,000. So in terms of building a business with insane potential value, becoming a franchisor can produce big results. But let's be clear, most franchise brands don't grow much. So when people say that only franchisors make money, it's simply not true. Only 5% of brands grow to 100 units or locations open over a period of time. That One Painter has grown to over 370 franchise locations in 3 years, which is wild. The catch is that there are 370 sold and not open. And anyone in the franchise world knows that there is always a percentage of territories that get sold but not open. Look, my intention in saying this all is not to sound like a hater, but just to bring facts and voice of reason to what you hear and what you see. Now, I do believe that franchising is the most proven business model in history, right? It makes business ownership accessible and possible to everyday people who would likely never be able to start a business from scratch, and give them a blueprint and model to follow. But you still need to do your homework and due diligence. No matter how fast franchise brands are growing and how excited you get about them, that's why we created our Franchise Buyers Academy and Zero to Profitable Franchise System, because we want to help protect franchise buyers and help franchise owners reduce the risk of failure and win. Small business failure stats are terrifying. So we got your back, because building a franchise empire won't be easy, and quite honestly, it's not going to happen overnight. And that's why in this video, I break down 7 franchise businesses that make a load of money. One of them being a franchise owner that does over $30 million in sales. How's that for franchise owners not making any money? Absolutely wild. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe below before you go, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.